listening audience, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 frames per second. I am Whirl, one of your players for the day, and I am joined today by the wonderful, lovely, fantastic, amazing, awesomest, bestest, greatest of all time. I'm going to keep complimenting you until you introduce yourself. Smartest,
Um,
most creative, most
Shush,
fun and funny and
shush.
awesome.
Hi, I'm Vamp, and I'm really not. I'm really not, but I'll be playing Mersel today.
Yee. And you are, so shush. Um,
Hmm.
but, um, today we are doing an FPS. Yeah, because you're playing Marcel, and I am playing Bonlock, the He Who Funky Ragdoll.
Mhm.
Um, God, I did not practice his voice before this game. But our story today, our game today, finds us at Dodo Studios, which is really just, it's become such a popular location for these things.
Yeah.
And
Well, for understandable reasons.
yeah, a lot of people work there. It's like the main employer of Einquell, apparently.
Hmm.
Um, but specifically, it finds us pinning in on Marcel. And Marcel, you are in the kitchens, and how are you feeling about the shipping mistake that you have just been alerted to the existence of?
All right, to paint a picture for you all, he came into the studio. It's a nice day. It's a nice day. He came into the studio for work, and he has been expecting a delivery of apples from Evershores, right? Now, he when he ordered that delivery, he ordered like an extra large crate of apples, right? But apparently there had been some mistake, and whoever took his delivery order misheard it as a crate of extra large apples instead. So he opened the crate this morning, and instead of it being a bigger crate filled with normal sized apples, he is now stuck with a normal sized crate filled with apples the size of pumpkins.
These are the biggest damn apples you have ever seen. It is ridiculous. You have no idea what you're gonna do with these apples.
Well, the first thing he does is call the fucking delivery company, and I'm gonna make a check here. Yeah, that was his intimidation because hey, you sent me something that you you delivered the wrong thing to me. And you know how when you like the person that was on call like kept waffling and basically and howling and like waffling and like not really offering him any solutions to the point that he started getting frustrated, and then the intimidation went in.
Oh boy. Marcel would like to speak to your manager.
Yeah. And they finally came to a compromise. He'll they finally came to a compromise, a discount for the next delivery, and also a refund for this one. But it still leaves him like with a crate of pumpkin sized apples.
Yeah, and it's not like a small crate either. It's like, an up to your waist sized crate of very big apples.
Yeah, and
So,
right now he's just leaning against the counter, looking at this apples and like wondering exactly how he's supposed to like carry all this and you know bring them out of the crate, and he's going to do with them all. Like even if he brings a few home, that's still so much apple.
there is so much apple. And the friggin' problem with apples, my dude, is that they spoil. So you've got to use them all.
Yeah, he's kind of tempted to just have them spoil and then I don't know use them as ammo against someone or something.
But
But
listen,
whatever.
that would just be so much paperwork for Bob.
like
Not
like
only in
I
the
don't
budget, but in the.
In fairness, it is getting refunded, but like every yeah, like he considers it like there is like that like thought bubble where like someone is being annoying and he just like throws a rotten apple at them, like vis-a-vis how you would throw rotten tomatoes at people when they're performing.
Oh,
But
goodness.
he discards the thought. Like every fiber of his being like cringes at the thought of like letting any of the apples spoil. So now he's stuck trying to figure out like he's stuck trying to figure out what he's going to do with these.
So, what's the first thing that he comes up with to do with all of these goddamned apples?
Well, first things first, he has to like see exactly how many extra large apples they sent him, and that requires him to take them out of the crate.
Oh boy, are you gonna take the apples out of the crate and stack them on the counter?
Yeah, I rolled strength and he got an 18. So he actually does pretty well, which again makes kind of sense. This is in the kitchen. This is like his domain. But he actually does start taking like moving all the apples from the crate and onto the counter. And I can hear everyone in the nuts and bolts gallery saying Twunk, he is not.
The twunk controversy lives on. But yep, okay. You get all these apples out on the counter. I mean, they're tasty looking apples. They're big. They're fucking big. Um and I have to roll something now.
Actually, how many apples would it be? Like, obviously, because like the apples are so big, there's likely like less of it like in the crate. But like, how many would you say it is? Like, how many pumpkins would fit in a crate that large? Basically.
I think this is a crate of about 2 dozen extra large apples.
Oh my god, 24 of them.
24! 24 extra large apples.
Stars.
And that's a nat 1. Okay. So you don't see this. You don't see this, Marcel, because you are just boggling at these 24 very big apples. And then there is a knock on the kitchen door.
Oh, coming. And he wipes off his hands a bit because, he has like the dirt and debris on them from when he was handling the crate.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks over to the door. And he does wonder who it is because most people in the studio wouldn't even knock.
Yeah, that's an odd
Like
thing.
at this point, I'm pretty sure not even Bob knocks. So he does like open the door and looks through.
And
And hmm,
there's somebody standing there who you haven't met before.
I'm
Uh,
gonna roll something real quick.
he's yeah, that's a 21.
Okay,
What were you rolling?
yeah. I would just wanted to see like if you would actually look from side to side because he didn't see like because Bonlock's shorter than he expected.
Please tell me that rule of funny that means that he did.
He did, but like he noticed like Bonlock like quick. Like he did notice Bonlock eventually.
Yeah, like Bonlock is well over a full foot shorter than you. But yeah, you see this short ragdoll looking Toon, um, who just kind of smiles a little embarrassedly and waves at you and says, "Hello, sorry to bother you. We're a bit lost. Can do
Uh
you do you know where the kitchen is?"
oh, here. And he nods like and he like kind of like steps aside from the door a bit to show you that yeah, this isn't it definitely a kitchen. Um yeah, you're here. Any way I can help you?
Uh, our mix bond sent us to check on a Star Boy Mersel?
Oh, that's me. And he like points towards himself. Uh, what? Why did Button want you to check on me?
We don't know. We think they might have just wanted us out of the he blinks cuz he forgot the word. out of
So
their
like,
out of their workspace. There were a lot of people. I think there was an explosion.
oh, the infirmary.
Yes, that's the one.
Well, all right then. Come on in. And he opens the door wider for this strange ragdoll to go in.
And he walks in. Um and then he like blinks, pauses, turns around on his heel and like waves and says, "Oh, we forgot to introduce ourselves. Hello, our name is Bonlock. We're pleased to meet you."
Oh, Bonlock. I'm gonna roll 14. Yeah, he remembers who Bonlock is. But, like, it doesn't really change how he reacts. He just blinks, recognition, and then, oh, hi, Bonlock. I'm Mersel. Nice to meet you as well.
And he just kind of smiles at you, and he looks around the kitchen, and then sees the apple conundrum.
Ah, pardon the mess. Well, there's been a delivery mix-up.
Oh, I just thought that you. Fuck, that's not the fucking pronouns he uses. We just thought that you had just gotten some surplus from the harvest season.
Oh no, I ordered an extra large crate of apples, but they delivered me a crate of extra large apples instead.
Oh, that makes sense. And he like walks over and pokes one of the apples.
Mm, I wouldn't normally order this many apples because and he waves his hands. The thing about apples, they spoil very quickly.
Hmm. Yes, that can be a bit of a problem. Hmm. And he kind of thinks for a minute, and then he looks at you, Marcel, and he's like, "Well, would you like some help? We do know a couple recipes that deal with these. They grow where we're from."
Oh, of course, I would be glad to learn your recipes. I would never say no to that. But are you sure you want help? Well, lunch rush. And he does. And how? Well, maybe not. I do have stuff in the pantry. Well, don't you want to return to Bond eventually, though?
Mm, we think they might be busy for a while. And you can roll insight, but you probably don't have to. He looks a bit, oh god. Cuz sometimes stuff happens at Dodo Studios, and sometimes there are big explosions, and sometimes a lot of people need help.
And says yes. All right, if you're sure. Well, if you want to help me, then I'll gladly take it. Well, luck.
And he kind of hops in place and claps his hands because he's excited. Yay!
Oh, actually, this does remind me. I hope you like the Butterton cookies me and Sunny got for you.
And he looks surprised, and then he grins, and he's like, "Yes, those have been lovely, and the sewing kit is very helpful as well."
Sunny did say that you liked sewing.
He smiles and kind of does a little spin and shows off the dress he's wearing, and is like, "We made this with it, actually."
Oh? That's a very pretty dress.
"Thank you. We like it very much."
Hmm. You look very good in it, yes.
And he smiles, and then um, he's gonna reach into his hammer space. Yep, reaches into his hammer space, pulls out a hair tie, and ties his hair back. Well, actually, technically, he pulls out two hair ties because he puts his hair up in ponytails and is like, okay, that's out of the way. Now, um, have you washed the apples yet?
No, I've honestly been kind of focused on counting how many there was and taking them out of the crate.
Oh, how many are there?
24, 2 dozen.
Oh, that's not so bad then.
Hmm. Well, I suppose so. It could be worse.
Well, that's about the amount that one household would use back in the autumn court, but let's see. And he, like, looks over them, and I'm gonna roll investigation. That's an 11. Um, and he finds one of the apples and says, ah, this one should work for one of the first recipes I learned. First ones we learned. And
Hmm?
he like points to it and then realizes, oh, I can pick it up. Yay, having hands.
Um,
Yep, he successfully manages to pick up an apple.
and Sal's just, do you need a hand with that?
No, we have two of our own now, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, it must be nice having hands. Quite handy.
And he actually giggles at that and sets the apple down. I assume there's a sink.
Yeah, well, like this is a kitchen. Of course, there's a sink. The more like pressing question is, will a pumpkin-sized apple fit in the sink?
I
Fit
mean,
in the
have you seen the size of sinks in professional kitchens?
yeah, that's true.
And he blinks at it for a second, then realizes, oh wait, and rummages through his hammer space. Yay! He manages to pull out a pair of rubber gloves because obviously he can't actually touch water.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And as he's doing that, like Sal's actually like looking at Bonlock and kind of looking like pensive for a second. Hmm. I could have. I feel like forgetting something.
Hmm?
Oh, Bonlock. After we're finished making use of the apples, would you? Well, if you remember, of course, could you remind me to give you the souvenir I got for you?
He blinks and looks up. Roll me insight real fast. That's a
5.
5. Luckily, that is Bonlock's reading him DC, so you met it. It is so low. I am. This boy does not hide anything. He blinks and he looks confused.
Bonlock.
He's just like. Mersel, you can tell that he's confused by the concept that someone would want to give him something. And he kind of tilts his head and he says, oh, do you need us to hold on to it for you?
No, it's yours, like the butter cookie thin. It's a souvenir I got from Dreamworkers, Ghibli. Siesta Fiesta Town is technically Dreamworkers, I suppose.
And I'm gonna roll something real fast.
Oh my god.
What's his save? Okay, he has a +8. He should be fine. Yeah, he just kind of. He gives you a big smile, and maybe there's tears in the corner of his eyes for a second, but he just smiles and says, okay.
And so I'm gonna roll. Well, no, even if I roll it inside, there's no way he's gonna beat that +8.
Well,
But yes, it's
it
just
wasn't
like,
deception. It was just a whiz save.
oh, oh, that's a high wisdom.
Yeah, he has a 20 in wisdom.
And can Cell roll inside to try and figure him out again?
Yeah, sure.
Please, Cell. 17.
What is he trying to figure out?
I don't know, like he just finds like the pause between like when he told Pawnlock it was a souvenir and like when Pawnlock actually responded like kinda odd.
Yeah, with a 17, like I said, you can tell like he is he is very new to the concept of people like treating him as a person and the idea of somebody who is a stranger basically um like giving him something just because, not even cuz like they want him to hold on to it for them or anything. It's just it's something he finds very confusing but not altogether unpleasant. He just doesn't quite know how to react.
And Cell looks at that and then Cell's just reminded of another kid that he knows that when he first like offered them hot chocolate in the middle of the snow and her own expression and how she looked and then he remembers like Sandy and Gil and all that and it's just actually, you know what? Before you get to washing the apple, I might as well give this to you now.
Oh, okay.
You can put it in your hammer space. And he reaches into his hammer space and he takes out a plush hedgehog.
Oh my god.
Like it's a fuzzy plush hedgehog. Like
Oh, it's so cute. It's so
and
cute.
he hands it over to Bonlock.
And he holds it and he just. Marcel, you don't even have to roll insight. There's fucking tears in his eyes because, oh, this is a nice thing. And he hugs it.
I hope you like it. Well, I did win more plushies at the carnival, but I thought that you might like a hedgehog. I think like this one specifically, and he pokes like the fuzzy area, the one where the fur that like replaces actual spine. I think the booth I wanted from, said something about it being part pincushion.
And Bonlock just hugs this hedgehog very tightly and says, "It's wonderful, thank you. We love it."
You're welcome. I'm glad you like it. And he kind of like awkwardly stands there to like give Monlock a moment to collect themselves.
Uh, Marcel, roll dex.
Okay.
Aw,
Oh,
man.
that was almost a nat.
Yeah, so you don't get knocked over because Bonlock's a little stronger than he thought he is. You get a hug.
And so just hugs back and like pats his back and goes, "Glad you like it."
And he smiles and says, "We'll have to come up with a name for him." But,
A name. Do you
and,
have an idea?
we'll come up with something by the end of the afternoon. And he nods very seriously. And for a second, he considers putting new hedgehog friend on his head, but then they might get wet, so instead he puts them in his pocket, which is his hammer space.
Yay. And Cell just looks out and Balnock and smiles and go, "Well, the apples won't cook themselves."
Right! And he brightens up because it's actually been a while since he's gotten to do cooking, and he likes cooking. Um, Marcel, why don't you roll me intelligence with advantage, because this is your area of expertise.
Intelligence with advantage. Oh gosh, why does it have to be intelligence? Oh, that's actually pretty good. Alright, I'm taking the 16.
Yep. So, Mersel, um, the first recipe that Monlock shows you how to make is it's like an apple pie, but the apple is the crust. So basically, how he shows you that you do it is like after he's washed up the big apple in the sink, he asks for your help cutting the top off because knives. Um,
Should I roll dex for this?
you can.
I would argue, yeah, 14 is fine.
Yeah, so you cut the top off of this apple the same way you would cut off the top of a pumpkin for a jack o' lantern,
Yeah?
and then you scoop out the insides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And prepare them the same way you would prepare whatchamacallit.
An apple pie?
Yeah, the filling for an apple pie.
Yep.
Um, but then you guys also mix up like a bit of spice cake batter, and you mix that in with the chunks of apple, and you pour all that back into the big apple with vanilla and cinnamon and all sorts of tasty stuff, and then that goes in the oven.
Oh, well, if. Oh, that already used the single apple. Oh, 24 apple pies, though, especially those of that size.
Well, that's not the only one we know how to make. Our Clara, well, her family was a bunch of clockmakers, but they always had access to a bunch of apples that would get picked as surplus during the harvest season. And, well, she wasn't always awake, see, so we would end up in the kitchens helping out the kitchen staff to make things out of the surplus apples.
Ah, that sounds like a fun time.
And he smiles and um why don't we do you want to go through the process of making another one, or do you want to like do this as a montage?
I think a montage would be better, yeah.
Yeah. So let's roll intelligence and dex each to.
Can I argue advantage?
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually roll history on mine instead of intelligence.
Oh, come on, I'm using a luck point. Come on, like, this is literally his job. Dice?
You know what? Peck the dice for you on that one.
Oh my fucking god. Dice Sparser went, no, Saul is bullied. Not today.
Wait, now. You know what? Why don't we peck the dice for the montage? Because none of us are rolling good.
Yeah!
So, you guys kind of like spend a good while at this, and you make like a whole bunch of different apple sweets. Like, there's one where you like take individual slices out of an apple and then fill, or like there's one where you like take an apple, right, and you empty it out and then you fill it with caramel and let the caramel harden, and it's like candy watermelon slices but apple.
Ooh, that's cool.
um there is obviously a lot of apple puff pastry.
Yeah, expected.
um there are also like, with some of the smaller apples, um Von Locke shows you how to like chop them up really, really tiny to make into whatchamacallit, a like, you can actually make stuff for lunch with this, because I think, would Marcel mention that yeah, you also have to get ready for the lunch rush?
I don't think so, no. Like, he's not gonna make Bonlock help him with it. Like, it's his job. He can do it after.
No, no, no. I mean, like, would he mention that that's a thing that Cell has to do?
Maybe in passing, like, oh, maybe in passing, but like not really like going much into detail.
Yeah, but like, that's inspiration to do a thing that can be lunch food, so apple gets used into a salad and into, like, a type of, chicken or turkey salad that can be used for sandwiches.
Yeah, like yeah, probably like it would be nice if they could use the apples for like lunch food because that means like that means he doesn't have to work twice basically.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're doing, he's like, well, considering how much you know about prepping apples, I'm going to assume that it's your favorite food.
We're not sure. He kinda, like, scratches at the back of his neck for a second and says, we haven't tried many foods. Having a sense of taste is, new. And you are welcome to roll insight on that new.
Luck point.
There we go.
Yes, finally something higher than a 10.
Yeah, so he mentions that having a sense of taste is a new sensation, and, like, his expression and the way he says it says, like, it's new, it's not 100% pleasant, but it's not unpleasant either. It's confusing.
I wait, you've never eaten before?
well, well, wait, there we go. Sorry, I accidentally turned my mic down. Well, we didn't have to before.
Well, do you have to now?
We think so, yes. Um, our mixed bond has been very, insisting sure that we follow a schedule about it. So yeah.
And Cell's like looking at like Bunlock, and then like he just kind of like nudges like one of the caramel like apple slices that we made to Bunlock's direction and goes, "How about you? How about you try this?"
Oh, okay. And he picks it up and tries it, and I need to make a con save.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy. I'm so sorry, kiddo. Oh, that's a 2. Oh boy. So he tries a bite of this, and, like, his his face screws up a little bit, and he coughs and is like, "Oh, that's strong." Ugh.
Are you okay?
We're not used to things that taste very strong like that.
Oh, sorry. I probably should have expected that. He winces.
No,
Do you need a glass of water?
uh, yes, that might be helpful. But really, you don't have to be sorry about it. It's okay. We should have remembered ourselves.
All right, but I still insist on apologizing. He like walks over to the sink and fills up a glass of water and offers it to Bonlock.
And he drinks the glass of water because water is tasty. And he can actually drink water right now without it soaking through his entire body, which is nice.
Hey.
He doesn't know how that works because he's pretty sure he doesn't have insides, but, you know.
And Sal leans against the counter and is just looking at Bonlock like quietly and goes, well, if that was too strong, would you mind like trying something less strong in taste?
We wouldn't mind.
Right, and I'm just gonna D10. He takes out what seems to be like already a half sliced loaf of bread.
Ooh, nice. Bread.
It's sourdough, like warm sourdough. It's actually the bread that he and Bon ate like some time ago.
Nice. One sec. Sorry,
And
had to sneeze.
And like he cuts out like a little slice for like Bonlock and offers it.
And he accepts it, and he tries it, and I'm not going to make him roll con for this one, because the reason I made him roll con for the other one is because caramel is just pure sugar.
Yeah.
But this is bread, and bread is good. And his eyes just go sparkly because, oh, this is tasty!
Ah, yeah, it's sourdough bread.
It tastes very nice.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And he pops a slice into his mouth himself and goes, but yeah, well, even if you don't have to eat, there's no harm in trying new foods.
Hmm. Well, we couldn't taste anything before. And he kind of, sort of, like, rubs at the back of his neck. Well, that's a consequence of a new thing. But we couldn't taste before, and it didn't really, it didn't make sense to make food for someone who couldn't taste it and didn't need it. So we just didn't eat. It was fine.
Perhaps, but you can taste it now, can't you? And you probably do need it. So why not eat more? Not just during breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hmm. Well, we have been trying things every once in a while, but we're still not very used to it.
Hmm.
It's easy to
And
forget. And he kind of laughs a little embarrassedly. But it's okay.
hmm, how about this then? Well, you told me that you and Pon eat together, and Pon make sure you eat 3 times a day.
Hmm.
How about every now and then, just drop by here in the kitchen or come see me, and I'll be sure to give you something nice. And then that way, I guess you won't get overwhelmed by all the new tastes.
Marcel, he is gone completely sparkly eyed and he just looks incredibly flattered.
Um, Bonna?
Uh, that that would be nice. We would appreciate that. And he is very obviously trying not to cry.
Wait, don't cry.
No, sorry. We
No,
don't
don't
mean to.
apologize either. Don't apologize either. Why
Sorry.
does this keep happening? No, don't apologize. It's fine. Are you okay?
Yes, of course. We're fine. We're fine. We're not used to people wanting to spend time with us when they don't need us for something. And he sniffles and he wipes his eyes and is like, it's nice. We like that.
Well, well, I do like you. He says quite honestly, and you're very nice. I wouldn't mind you dropping by to visit every now and then.
Marcel, you're getting another hug. I hope you know that.
He gets up like the second time in the hour, and he's just like, ah, yes, the Bonlock's just like this, probably, likely.
Listen, he was made to be good at hugs, so you are getting hugged by this tiny person made of pillows.
Yeah, and he pats their back and goes, anyway, you're Kill and Sandy's friend, aren't you? Of course I would. Of course I wouldn't mind. Of course I wouldn't mind hanging out with you every now and then.
And he just kind of blinks for a second, and his smile gets really, really bright and sunshiny, and if he was Ghibli and his hair would be fluffed up and he would be glowing. Um, but he nods, and I think you guys keep making apple food for a while.
Yay! And that's like us. They make apple food like cells, just like talking softly to Bonlock and like just encouraging them to make conversation.
Which, again, it takes some getting used to, but once you actually get him engaged in conversation, he's talkative.
What does he talk about?
What does Mersel try and talk about? Because he would probably go with whatever Mersel was trying to talk about in terms of conversation and just say a lot about it if he could.
I think Cell like would honestly like talk about mostly about like cooking, food, books. like
Yeah.
magic as well to an extent.
Oh, well, actually, when you mention magic, Bonlock does kind of brighten up, and I imagine you guys probably talk about the fact that, yeah, he actually is pretty good at magic, and he knows how to he knows the basics of spell writing.
Hey, Bunlock, roll inside.
Okay. Plus 8. 22.
What can you do? All right, it's really subtle, but like as you discuss, like there's like this weird like it's really weird and it's really subtle, but like Sal's talking about like spells and like things that are like at very high level. Yet when he's talking about his own like spell casting ability and like his own ability to cast spells, like it's like very low level. So like there's just like this difference between like the kind of stuff he knows and the kind of stuff he talks about being able to accomplish.
Huh. Yeah, Bonlock does, like, pick up on that, and, that's odd. But then again, like, he knows stuff that you're not supposed to be able to know until level 15, but, you know, he knows even though he's only level 5, so he figures it's probably just a case of, same hat. They both had a habit of hitting the books when they were bored.
True, true, and like yeah, again, like but like again, you have 22, and yeah, it could be that, but at the same time, like the way he talks about like the high level like formulas and like spells and like spell work, like it's not necessarily the way you would talk about something you found in a book.
Hmm. Well, in that case, I think Bonlock does, like, pause and ask, so, did you used to be able to do that stuff, or can you still do it now?
Ah, well, no, I can't do it now, I'm afraid.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I used to be able to, though, yes.
Um, do you mind if we ask why you can't?
Well, I'm a warlock. That's basically the consequence when you switch patrons.
Oh, and he, like, nods very understandingly. Yes, that makes sense.
Hmm. Have you ever met the warlock before?
Oh boy. I'm just gonna. Hmm. Mersel, why did you roll insight?
Oh god. Oh fuck. Oh no.
We didn't mean for this to happen.
15.
Yeah, his smile kind of tightens a little bit, and he kind of awkwardly smiles and says, well, we knew someone who was one for a while, but, he wasn't very nice.
I am gonna make this roll with advantage. Come on, dice!
Do you want to peck the dice?
Yeah, the Sal hears. Yeah, I'm packing the dice. Sal hears that, and oh, oh, Paco stars. Sorry about that. He isn't nice, and he actually kind of shadow flashes over his eyes before he shakes his head. He isn't nice. Let's not talk about him, shall we?
And Bonlock looks relieved and nods.
Hmm.
So,
Um.
who who is your patron then?
It's the wishing star.
Oh, the second star's sister.
Yes, the second star, sister.
Oh, she's nice. Well, she's complicated, but she's nice.
He does laugh a little at that. Yeah. I suppose I suppose. Huh, I'm actually quite surprised that you knew in that of her. He kind of says as he's peeling an apple. Most of the lore and myths and legends in Kisnap have been watered down to just good luck goddess.
Well, we're we're not from Giznap, so that makes sense. And he kind of rubs at the back of his neck and says, we're from. Well, we used to be here a long time ago. Do you know where Knickknack Town is?
I'm gonna roll history.
That's a
20.
20.
Do they know where Knickknack Town was?
Yes, you know about Knickknack Town with a 20. Um you know that it kind of gets written off as being Toontown's theater district nowadays, but that it actually predates Toontown, and that it's one of the older kingdoms in Giznap, or one of the older towns in Giznap. Um, a lot of people there are either Tezukanadan or Giblian or Hassan. Um, and it's well known for its theater and whatnot. Theater, the arts, dance, all that jazz.
Saul like thinks for a bit and then snaps his fingers and go, "Oh, yeah, I think I know the place you're talking about. My little sister, she takes dance lessons there."
And Bonlock smiles and says, there's really no better place for it. Dance is baked into the very nature of the town there. It's a very good place to learn dance. But yes, we were there a long time ago when we were first built, and then we went to
Evershares?
yes, and that's where we spent most of our time. So that's where we consider ourselves from, and well, that's where we heard about the wishing star. And well, the second star gets talked about more on Evershore, but the wishing star, we respect her, but she can be kind of scary.
He does nod at that and like gives a little chuckle. I suppose so. I didn't get to stay. I didn't really get to look around properly my last trip to Evershores. I wasn't aware actually that I knew they worshipped the second star, but I didn't think that they did the same for my patron. Though then again, I suppose the two do go hand in hand.
Yes, it's not so much that she's worshipped in the same way that the second star is, because, well, he made the islands. But, well, we pay her respect to make sure she doesn't mess with us too badly.
He chuckles. Well, as paying her respect doesn't hurt, I suppose, but I don't really think she's the kind of person to personally go after a mortal.
Well, it's not so much even that she just personally goes after mortals, it's more that, you know, everybody on the islands was like that because she can control large elements of plot and story, and you really don't want someone like that mad at you.
That's true, I suppose. He hums. I personally, she is my patron, I suppose. I've only met her a few times, so.
Is she nice in person?
She's not cruel. He thinks hard. She's not cruel, but I don't feel like she necessarily considers us as her equal.
Well, that makes sense. She's a goddess.
He nods and like starts peeling the apple again. And well, I've never met the second star, and here he makes a face. Well, if Evershars know that much about the second star and the wishing star, then you should probably have an idea of how I feel about him.
Yes, they don't get along.
I and here he sighs. The number of times my bus breaks down on the packing train or that shit. I don't. I respect him anyway because he's a god, but packing the second star.
And Bonlock just kind of laughs.
Do you feel like the second star makes it a mission to bully his sister's Warlock? And considering I am just the one at the moment,
He probably has a lot of time to spend messing with you then.
he probably does, and he starts like peeling the apple more aggressively.
Aggressive
Um,
apple peeling.
yeah, aggressive apple peeling. Somewhere on the pantheon, second is feeling a little unsafe. Well, I've never met him in person. I've met, but then he like thinks better of it. Then he shakes his head. Well, I've never met him in person, and I don't know if I ever will. Probably best that I don't. I might accidentally offend him or something, and then would probably be worse off than I am now.
Well, we've never met him in person either, but we've heard that he's actually pretty easygoing.
Well, yes, but I've heard that he's also pretty childish.
Hmm, this is also true. Although we do know that there's a story. We don't know how true it is, but we do know that there's a story that somebody, that our Clara's mother knew, once kicked the second star in the shin.
Oh, I wish I'd been there to see that. You laugh. I'm too old to be kicking anyone's shin, though. I might, maybe one good kick. He's thinking very hard of Cal mentioning doorway in ECCR. Maybe one good kick. Who knows? Maybe he'll admit that he owes me that much.
Maybe. We don't know.
Cats are cats are interesting, and he puts down his apple and starts picking up another one. Mm, well, I don't know actually, but what's that? What's Evershore's pantheon like? Do they subscribe to a pantheon the way Uncle does?
Well, yes. We don't admittedly know much about it. See, second was the main one, but there were others who were actually, well, they're unique to Evershore. Um, we don't know much about them. We didn't leave the house much because, caretaker, which is a servant, which means that you don't leave the house much without permission of your. And he quiets for a minute because he doesn't know which word to use, and then shakes his head and says, "Well, anyway, there were a collection of deities. Let's see. There's the Flame Eternal. They're pretty big. They are something." And he kind of wrinkles his nose. They're the deity of progress, but they're kind of famous for having a very much, take what's going to move you forward and leave everything else behind type attitude, which is not helpful.
Oh, that actually sounds familiar, and he's thinking very hard of Nobel. Actually, that actually sounds very familiar. I think I might know someone who's a follower of him then.
Well, some people, I don't, maybe, they didn't have much of a following.
Well, the person in question can also set herself on fire, so I think that's a pretty good bet to take.
Oh, you know what it might be? It might be that, she pleased them somehow and got blessed or something. Although, Flame Eternal's blessings are a lot more like curses. But
Hmm.
that's entirely possible. Oh, there's the storm. If you've been to Evershore, you've met the storm.
Are you talking about that storm over the ocean?
It goes all around the islands, and it is a deity in its own right. It protects the islands from the world outside the barrier.
Interesting. I am well, quite frankly, when we were going through that, I was more preoccupied with the fact that there was a very huge storm. We were on a very small ship.
Oh, don't worry. As long as there was somebody on the boat who was from Evershore, well, she wouldn't have attacked you.
There was someone there. I think she sang.
Sang? Oh, she might have been a storm singer. That would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's others too. There's a new one. Clara, she's a new one. But
Oh,
uh, and he kind of fiddles with his fingers and nods and says, "Well, actually, she's not exclusive to Evershore the way she was way back when, but um, you probably haven't heard of her. Uh, well, maybe you have. I know that Gil has. He didn't have a good time with her, but she's been going by retrospect nowadays."
I'm gonna do something really quick. 18. Okay, he jolts in surprise, but he doesn't actually cut himself with a knife. He's peeling the apple.
Oh, be careful! You almost nicked a hand.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yes, I do know of her.
Ah, I offer my, fuck. We offer our apologies.
And he kind of sighs and like picks up the apple and starts peeling again. I don't. Well, it was terrible. There's no sugarcoating it. My first meeting with her was terrible, and I would be very happy to never see her again. But I suppose that I suppose it's to be expected for a goddess to play with mortals as if they're their playthings. I'm not going to spend energy hating her.
And he nods very understandingly, and he honestly looks a little sad and says, "She didn't used to be like that. I mean, she's always been scared, and she's always been obsessed with her whole mess, but when we knew her, she was doing her best. She's different now. We've met a couple people who've interacted with her, although we hadn't met anyone who she'd try to kill until Gil came back. But
Yes, and he does like kind of look at Mom up there. Well, well, she. If it makes you feel any better, I'm pretty certain that if she had actually wanted to kill Gil, she would have.
probably. And he oh god. Mersel? There is an expression on this guy's face that doesn't look like it's something he's used to. Roll me insight.
Oh boy.
That's a
Oh,
12. Yeah, that meets it. Um, his expression is dark and very stormy.
Panna?
The minute you call his name, he like snaps out of it and says, "Sorry, we got lost in thought." But well, if she wanted him dead, he would be dead. That's for certain.
I'm aware. And he sighs.
We're glad she didn't.
I'm glad as well. I would have been happier if she had never stabbed him in the first place or put us through that, but at the very least, I can be glad that she didn't kill him. She didn't actually kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And here you kind of like, and he kind of like, actually like, there's a nice flash of shadow over his eyes, and he kind of like tilts the brim of his hat back a little and goes, kind of cheekily. And you know, the pocket watch that I got from that place, I did sell for quite a high price.
You got a pocket watch from that place?
Gil was insistent on wrecking the rooms. We didn't necessarily go through with it, but I did pick up a pocket watch and forgot to put it back down.
Oh, that makes sense. She had a habit of keeping those around.
hmm
You couldn't walk 5 steps in her old house without tick 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 tick.
Oh, that must have been something.
We were used to it, And we didn't hear it too often because, well, we were in the attic for most of it, but it could be a little nerve-wracking sometimes, especially late at
Mhm.
night.
Oh gosh, yeah. And he nods at it. Well, yeah, there were a lot of clocks scattered about the place that she took us to.
Mm-hmm. What's it? What's it like there?
And here he kind of like pauses and thinks, and he winces and goes, quite frankly, I don't actually remember all that much.
That's fair.
Likely
Sorry.
because of, um, likely because of, I was distracted by other matters, mainly the fact that didn't remember anything, and after some time, I could only remember a few things.
Ah, that makes sense.
I do remember it raining though.
Hmm. Well, then at least she always has a favorite weather.
And Sal's just like, and like, because the conversation seems to be getting bogged down, he's just very quietly, oh, and aside from retrospect, is that it for the Pantheon of Evershores?
No, there's and he does kind of like lighten up a bit again. He tells you about how Evershore has a handful of deities. He doesn't know a lot about all of them, but he knows the main one for Autumn, which is the one who kind of ruled over Autumn um before the current king took the throne and all that, and he knows about how there's the one that's in charge of Acadea. It's a big ol' owl.
Oh, an owl?
Hmm.
Like Bon?
And does Mersel actually say that?
Kinda like a low murmur, yes.
Bonlock busts out giggling. Well, that would explain why Ixbon is very smart. But
That's
yes,
also have a reputation of doing that.
yes. But this one, well, they don't really have a name seat, but they're a spirit that stays around the school, and they're like the deity of like learning and understanding and all sorts of things, really.
Oh, they sound like a lovely deity.
They can be, well, we've never met them, but we've heard stories, but yes, we think so. They seem very nice.
Hmm. Yes, well, it's pretty understandable that you've never met them. Most people do meet gods.
Yes, and well, again, we weren't really allowed out of the house, so we didn't exactly have much time to experience religion.
Well, I hope that now that you're free, you can go anywhere you want.
And he shrugs. I'm not gonna like make you roll insight because he's not gonna think hard about that. He just kind of shrugs.
And Saul like puts down the last peeled apple and goes, oh, I think we've actually used all the apples.
See? Not that bad. 2 dozen's pretty easy to work through.
Mm.
And now you have food for everybody who comes for lunch.
Yeah,
And
I
extra. Because he just looks over and there is a bunch of sweets.
yeah, and he just laughs and goes, I'll bring them back home. I'm sure my family would get a kick out of them. And what about you? Do you want to take any home?
Hmm, maybe a few. And he kind of blinks and says, maybe Mix Bun will like them. We don't know if they like apples, but, well, we had apple juice the first day that we actually mentioned that we probably need to eat stuff, and we mentioned that we liked it, and they've been keeping a lot of apple juice, so we assume that they must like apples too. So,
And Sal thinks about that and goes, um, it might be more accurate to say that he keeps a lot of apple juice because you mentioned that you like them?
Blink, blink. No, that wouldn't make sense. Anyway,
Uh, why wouldn't it make sense?
mm, reasons that people get mad at me if I say out loud, which is weird. But he just kind of glosses over the question and like picks out a couple foods to put in a box that he takes out of his hammer space.
And so when Bonlock isn't looking, Sal slips a little more into the box. All those extra deities, they all sound very neat. And I'm honestly quite surprised that there aren't any more negative ones.
Any what? I genuinely couldn't hear that.
Oh, like he's just surprised that most pantheons always have they're like normal, like they're like the deities, and then there's always the flip side of the coin, like the darker part of the pantheon.
Yeah. Bonlock kind of shrugs and says, "Well, they don't need darker, more negative ones. They're all pretty neutral. All of the deities of Evershore are capable of being both good and bad, but you need to be able to manage how you interact with them. I think that's what they said."
That actually sounds a lot like the Luck Trinity. He he nods at Bonlock as he starts setting out plates.
Mm,
I don't actually know if you know who the Luck Trinity is. You do know of the Wishing Star.
let me roll history. That's a 22.
Eee.
And he just smiles and nods and says, "Yes, well, back in Wits End, where we were working for a while, there were a lot of people who actually followed different members of the Luck Trinity, so yes, we know who they are."
Ah, alright.
And
Well,
he is going to try and help you set things up. I hope you know that.
yeah, and so lets him, and he's just, well, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised if you knew about the Wishing Star, and you knew more than just a watered down lore. Yeah, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
It probably helps that we like reading probably a bit more than we're supposed to.
Hey, there's no such thing as more than you're supposed to.
There very much is, but we're starting to understand that it's different. Now? Different now.
And Saul doesn't push. Saul doesn't push. He sets out plates and after they're done, he just looks at Bonlocks so do you want to stay here in the kitchen and hang out with me for a little while longer, or do you want to go back and return to Bon?
He kind of, he thinks for a minute and says, "We should probably go back. We imagine that anything that we weren't supposed to see or that was too chaotic has probably died down, and we can go help there. Oh, do you mind if we bring some cookies in case somebody is hurt and needs something sweet?"
Oh no, of course not. And he waves, have at.
And Bonlock picks up one of the plates of cookies and he smiles at Mersel and he gives Mersel another hug because he likes hugs.
And Sal actually takes off his hat, and Bonlock feels something tapping on the top of his head.
And he looks up.
It's an apple juice box.
And Bonlock smiles so happy and he just accepts it and says, "Thank you."
Off you go then. Tell Bon I said hi, and if he hasn't eaten, bully him into it for me.
And Bonlock gives you a very serious salute. And then pauses on his way out the door and is like, "Would you mind if we came back every once in a while? We really liked cooking before, but we haven't gotten much of a chance to do it lately, and, well, we kind of missed it."
Oh, of course. I wouldn't mind a helping hand. Although, don't go out of your way to come here. It is my job after all, and I'm fully capable of doing it by myself, but I wouldn't mind the company if you'd like to hang out with me. And he smiles.
And Bonlock smiles back and nods and waves, and he runs off. And I think, if you're okay with it, that's where we pan out.
Eee.
And that is our FPS. Thank you so much for listening, everybody who has tuned in. Vamp, thank you so much for playing with me. This was so fucking cute.
It was.
But, boy, hope everybody had a good time. Everybody say goodbye to the listeners. Goodbye, listeners!
Bye.